So, welcome back to the Red Porcupine YouTube channel. I'm Jason.
I'm Taylor.
If you haven't figured it out by now. Today we are going to talk about guides, specifically guides for 9-foot and longer rods. Let's start off with...
Yeah, we're gonna kind of like, I don't know if I'll say debunk some myths, but we're hoping that we can spread awareness. I don't know what the fuck to say about that, but like the differences in the guides. So we've got, there's primarily two materials now that guides are made of: titanium and stainless steel. Most people that are familiar with the differences know that titanium is lighter. No doubt, it's proven. The other benefit to titanium is it doesn't rust. You can leave that thing in salt water for years, and the theory is it will not rust.
They also say stainless won't rust.
Well,
we all know that's not true.
Yeah, well, we live in Florida, and Florida was built to eat everything. So, like, something that says stainless, we learn by living here there are different grades of stainless steel.
Stainless guides will rust.
Stainless guides will rust, especially when you've got hooks rubbing against them, something chews through the finish. They'll definitely rust.
Yeah. But we'll start out with the K guide. Everyone knows the K guide. It is pretty much the standard guide now.
And they have double foot Ks and single foot Ks. The double foots are KWs, the single foots are KTs or KBs, KLs.
Why are you making it complicated?
I can't help it, dude.
You just have to make it complicated.
Dude, my mind is a fucking carnival. I can't help it. Sorry.
So then, take it away, K-Guide expert.
Okay. All right. So the KW, now I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know the history on the K-Guide layout, but doctor scientists from NASA in Japan once figured out that adjusting the angle, most guides were flat-faced. When they came out with the K-Guide, it was probably, I believe, the first guide that had an angled face to it. They discovered that when you use a K-Guide layout with those angles, it works with the angle of the reel. If you ever see the reel and you look at the shaft, where that points, it's not pointing
straight. The foots are all angled.
That's right, yeah. So the spinning reel is shifted towards the blank. So they discovered that you take that and you use that with these angled face K-Guides, not only are they snagless, so you don't snag on these, it will help your casting distance. You'll get a further cast with the correct layout. But that's kind of beside the point. What we're here today to do is talk about. Sorry, I know. I hear it now. I hear what you're saying.
You realize you're going off on a tangent.
I know. I've been called obsessive. We're talking about weight right now. Okay, let's get into the weight first because there's several other factors to these. But
yeah,
let's get into the weight. So I don't know how to work your scale.
Oh man. Okay, so we have a scale. We're gonna weigh all of these guides today, and for a standard stainless finish,
so this
Fuji double foot 30 K guide, it weighs 0.35 ounces. Now, if we take a Fuji titanium size 30 double foot KW,
same insert,
0.17 ounces.
Okay, so that's
almost half the weight.
Almost half the weight. Okay.
That's
Obviously,
substantial.
It is substantial, and titanium is a very strong material.
But we found recently, when you go into single foots, the weight difference is minimal.
The weight difference is minimal. And here's the thing. Titanium on some rods is probably going to make a huge difference. If we are fishing an ultralight, like let's say a Phoenix K2, a Rain Shadow RX10, some of those very, very, very light graphite blanks, those high modulus graphite blanks, those graphene, nanophene blanks, you will notice a difference in your cast,
And the balance of the rod, how
balance.
it feels holding it all day. If you're using titaniums, it's not going to be tip heavy and lean forward on you all day. And then you're going to have that stress in your wrist from trying to hold the rod more upright all day. But that being said, if you're talking about, a heavier 9-foot blank like an RCLB or a Rain Shadow 1089, the titanium is not going to be a noticeable difference. I think at that point, if you're doing titanium guides, it's more for the anti-rust or bragging rights.
Bragging rights are a thing. They're definitely a thing. In my experience, especially when we're building rods that have big wraps on them, right? These closed pattern decorative wraps that take 30 hours to finish. Very expensive rods, right? Like it brings the cost of a rod up by $600 to $700 typically, and for me, you sometimes those bragging rights are worth it. You want to say like, hey, this really beautiful rod with this nice aluminum seat and these hand-shaped cord grips have titanium guides. They've got the best guides. Most expensive guides.
I mean, if you're spending that much money on a rod, it's worth it to drop the extra $100 and have titanium guides. Because the last thing you want to do is, 5-10 years from now, because you don't rinse your gear after you fish, is have a rusting stainless guide and then have to take that very expensive rod and break it down and rebuild it, especially because there is so much decoration in the foot wraps to match the wrap on the blank.
So bragging rights are a thing. I don't knock anyone for wanting bragging rights because, dude, we buy nice stuff. We want it to be.
Well, that's nice a practical function to it as well, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But if I get a customer who calls me and is getting a budgeted build, he's saying, hey, this is what I have to work with. What can we do? And then he asks me, what should I do titaniums? Okay, if you're getting, like I said, a 1089 with aluminum seat and you're putting a Van Staal 200 on it, and you're asking me if titaniums are worth it,
they're not.
I don't believe they're worth it. Yeah. I think the weight, that you will not notice the weight difference. I think that once you put that reel, you're a Staal guy. How much does a Van Staal?
150. The VSX weighs like 13 and a half ounces roughly. Yeah. The new ones weigh right around 15 ounces, maybe just over 15 ounces in a 150 size. But I think the 200 in the X series is like 22 ounces.
Okay.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay. So let's split it. It was called 20 ounces. That
sure.
Okay. Let's say you're putting a 20 ounce reel. A 1089 is about 9.5 ounces, I think. It's not a light blank. And then you've got a seat, which an aluminum seat is I don't know. I don't think it's probably we weighed one.
We did. I can't remember exactly what it weighed.
Was it a full ounce?
I don't think it was a full ounce.
I don't even think it was a full ounce. Anyway,
but typically you're doubling the weight.
But now we're getting into a weight that's like pushing 30 ounces.
Yeah.
What we just discovered is like you're saving minimal. I mean,
maybe an ounce total over the course of the guides because, we're talking about a 30. It's the biggest, heaviest guide. Every guide after that is going to be a smaller and smaller difference between stainless and titanium.
For sure. So, like, by the time you distribute that, let's call it an ounce. Let's say that there is an ounce. I don't think there is, but let's say this is an ounce difference in the set of guides. You distribute that across this blank with your whole setup and reel is now pushing 30 ounces. I'd be so surprised if you could close your eyes and sit and feel the difference in that rod.
In less than an ounce. Yeah.
Now that doesn't speak to anything with the corrosion prevention.
No.
So you're right, absolutely. If you say I never want to replace a guide on this rod because of rust, then I would say yes, go with titanium.
But just like you said, if you're trying to do a budget conscious build, you're not doing those extensive foot wraps on that guide. You're doing simpler foot wraps. So if you do have to replace a guide, the cost in that replacement is minimal, and it's going to be very easy.
It's going to be easy
to replace that guide. So
yeah, and
why
also,
go with titanium?
Also, sorry, rust isn't the only reason why we replace a guide. Like I
That's
rarely replace a guide because it got rusted out.
That is
If
true.
if it lasts long enough to get rusted, you're doing pretty good, because most of the time it's going to be, a weight hits it, a lure hits it. It gets knocked on the freaking bed of the truck. It falls, it slips and falls in your driveway. It's not, these insert materials are really hard.
But then that brings us to insert material differences.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so these
in the K guides, you have the widest range of insert materials.
Yeah.
You have, what's the for Fuji specifically?
Dude, you have
let's leave it at Fuji
just
for today.
Fuji's and just for the K series, you have
phasite, phase-lite.
You have Concept O,
oh,
which isn't offered everywhere, but they make it. Concept O, which is like oxide. It's the cheapest material.
It's also the most fragile.
It's the most fragile. You have Phazolite. I think it's Phazolite. I think it's how you pronounce it.
I don't know. It starts with an F and ends in light. Yeah.
Phasite,
Phazolite.
I think it's Phazolite.
Okay.
It's got a blue.
The blue ones.
Kind of tint to it.
Yeah, the blue rings.
And that's the second cheapest. Then you have Alkanite, which is that it's black like the Concept O, but it is actually a durable material. It's a good material.
It's the most common on production rods.
On factory rods.
Yeah.
And it's still quite cheap as far as the guides go. It's probably the cheaper of the most common ones.
Yeah.
And next up, you've got silicon carbide, SIC. And anyone who's been around customs knows SICs are kind of the go-to. I mean, like we see SICs in all kinds of rods.
Yeah, I mean, SIC is supposed to be the material that you can run wire through, and it is not going to break it. It's not going to gouge it. It's not going to wear it out. I mean, that commercial kingfish rod that we always talk about that ran wire every single day for how long? 5 years?
At least. Probably more than that. It was on a head boat that every time they moved, they'd drop a cigar weight and an islander and troll for wahoo during the move.
And that had SIC guides.
It had SICs. And here's the thing. It had a wear spot. Okay? It had where the ring was still years later perfectly round, except right at the bottom where that wire rested, and it wasn't cable, it was just raw wire, had the tiniest little dent in it, like a little groove.
But you're talking thousands of days of
and it
fishing,
never cracked.
And it didn't crack.
So a groove is fine, especially on a conventional.
Yeah, I was going to say, for a casting rod, it might give you a little hiccup, but you would never get that groove in a spinning rod or a casting rod.
Yeah, and that was a commercial rod. That was being fished constantly. But it is incredibly hard material. The reality is it's probably overkill for almost every inshore application. Because to my knowledge, the purpose of the hardness, why we want those ceramics to be so hard, is so they can tolerate heat. Okay.
The heat of the line running over the guide.
Well,
now, but does that hardness also equate to your rod falling over?
No. Well, that's the thing. If it falls over, it doesn't matter, because we're talking vibration, and
exactly
something that's that rigid and hard is very susceptible to vibration.
Yeah, I mean, if you drop a rod on concrete and your guide comes down and hits the concrete just like that, chances are your guide is cracking, whether it's SIC, whether it's alkanite, whether it's torzite, which is the other one.
That's the next one, yeah. The last one that I got sidetracked again before we mentioned was torzite.
I had to get you back on track a little bit.
I don't know what I'd do without you, man. Torzite is, so from my understanding, Torzite is basically the same hardness level as SIC, but it is thinner. So in the application, whatever magician can put these insert materials in these guides, Torzite is a thinner ring.
It can tolerate the insertion on a smaller level, essentially. So it's just as hard, but they can get it in there with less material.
Yeah. How many rods do we build that have Torzites? Not a lot.
It's rare. Torzites are pricey, and Torzites only come in titanium frames?
Yeah, only available
only in titanium frames, right? So if you really want to flex on everybody else, on the bridge, at the inlet, on the boat, wherever it is you're going, spring for Torzites, and you can be the guy that says, this has Torzites.
Yeah, so when someone picks up the rod and sees it says titanium, like, oh, you got titaniums, and you can be like, fucking Torzites, bro. And then they'll, oh my god. So, all right, so another question that I've run into with customers is when they're buying a used rod, right? It's a custom, but it's in the shop, it's used. They don't, it's not necessarily easy to tell all the time which guides are on there. So, the best way I've ever been able to describe SIC is it looks like a mirror finish. So, when you look at an SIC, this is silicone carbide, you see how shiny this thing is. I'm talking about the ring inside of the frame. It's very, very shiny. It's almost a mirror finish, and it's almost like a gunmetal metallic, because there's no markings on it to indicate SIC. All we see is a Fuji stamp here, and there's no markings anywhere else to identify what the ring material is. So very shiny, almost mirror finish, SIC.
Now, if you talk about alkanite, if you can tell, is very dark. It's black, essentially, and it really stands out. You can tell if an insert is alkanite. This is a completely different guide that we will talk about in a minute. And Torzite looks like alkanite, but it's thinner.
It's very thin.
That's really the only way that I can
I'll be
tell
honest. There's not enough of the material. There's not enough ceramic material for me to even describe it that well. It is a very thin material. Yeah. But yeah, it's a little bit darker.
It's dark and thin.
But you can tell Torzite just because
it doesn't look like SIC and it's on a titanium frame.
It's barely there. Like there's barely a ring in there. If it's just
a
tiny little ring like that, it's probably Torzite. But chances are the price tag is going to tell you if it's Torzite anyway. Because I don't care if it's a used rod or not. If it's got Torzite, it's going to be up there. This brings us to titaniums. Okay, now for Fuji, titaniums, there's two. The easiest way I can always identify titanium, and this is for the double foot case, there's a groove machined into the frame. You can see this groove right along the back of the two legs. Okay, now the bigger ones also have titanium laser engraved in them. So on one side you'll have Fuji, on the other side you'll have titanium. But once you get into the smaller ones,
they might have a T, but they'll definitely have the V.
They'll probably have a T. And on the single foots, they'll have an F and a T on the foot. Okay, because it doesn't have the
There's no space to engrave Fuji.
But the biggest way on the double foots, I can pick one up real quick and tell if it's got this groove cut in it, and it's a true Fuji guide, it's a titanium.
Yeah.
Because they didn't do that on any of the stainless frames. And then as far and one of the guides we didn't talk about really.
Well, we haven't talked about any of the other guides.
We didn't.
But no. But the K guides. I know. You've gone off on so many tangents that we're just so sidetracked.
I don't even know what we're doing here, honestly.
The K guides, the common belief is that they are the farthest casting guides on the market today. That is, in my opinion, a common misconception. Now, when they came out, I would agree. But since then, there have been different guide concepts that have come out, different guide layouts, different guides in general that I believe cast better than K guides. I know people are gonna just balk at the idea.
Opening the door for so many criticisms right now.
That's fine. Bring on the criticism. I don't care.
Okay.
We're gonna do a video.
No, I'll stand with you. Comparing
K-guide casting, RV casting, and LC casting. That's gonna come out. So if you watch, you'll see which one wins.
Yeah.
But
so I think differently.
You think the K-guides cast better?
No, I think if we're measuring distance, I think depending on the guide layout, you can get the same distance. The feel is totally different. Okay. It's getting nitpicky, okay? But I believe high frame guides, like the ones we're about to talk about, feel better casting. But I don't necessarily believe they get you more distance.
Okay.
But I think it all depends on the layout.
We're gonna find out.
We will find out. But here, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Please continue.
Yeah. So we'll go to the cheaper high frame guide.
I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm just gonna hit this thing.
You don't care. You're just gonna.
If anyone wants to be upset, yeah.
There's probably thousands of children that are going to watch this video and see you vape, and then they're going to start vaping, and then they're going to get in trouble from their parents.
Dude, if they're looking up to me,
some lung disorder or something.
Yeah, no, if they're looking up to me, dude, they're already fucked.
That's
bad parenting on their parents' part.
Anyway, LC guides.
Mm-hmm.
This is an LC guide. It's a high frame guide. It goes on upside down. If you depends on how you hold the rod, I guess. You know, if it's here, then it goes backwards. But if you're holding the rod up, like this, then you would call it upside down, right? Would you call that upside down or backwards?
I'm a rod builder, man. It's backwards.
Because you're always looking at a rod like this.
I know. Okay.
But if someone goes into a store to buy a rod,
okay,
this would look upside down.
It's reversed.
It's reversed. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you would think it would go like this, but it doesn't.
Right.
It goes like this.
Yep.
LC guides came out some years ago at this point. And they are only available in stainless. They are only available with alkanite inserts. Your stripper guide, which is this guide, your first guide, is a longer distance from your reel on the blank, which creates less guides in total. And a lot of people theorize that moving the first guide further away from the reel is going to create line slap. But we have found that it actually doesn't.
Right. Yeah, so you primarily find the LCs on surf rods. They are
9 foot or longer.
9 foot or longer.
It really not only looks funky, but probably doesn't create that great of an application on an 8 foot or shorter rod.
So the doctor scientists from NASA over in Japan once figured out that if you move your stripper guide further away and you raise the insert, you can get a very clean, smooth cast. A smaller insert too. So like this is
the same stripper guide as this. These would go on the exact same rod, just in different places, even with the exact same reel.
Right. So if we did a K-guide layout on a 9 foot rod, that stripper K-guide would be
going to go roughly, probably roughly here. I would guess. Well, it depends on where you put the reel seat.
No,
let's say that's
right. I think you're actually pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah, yeah.
Now that LC guide
is going to go a good, like, probably 12 inches further, I would say.
Which means that on a 9 foot blank, you would use 9 KW guides, typically. 8 in the tip.
Yeah.
With the LCs,
it just depends on the builder. You see, and what they prefer. What I would suspect we would do would probably be a 7 guide layout.
Yeah.
It really depends on the frame height. So much of this depends on the frame height and how the line is going to flow through the guides you use. So the LC, obviously we saw 30 millimeter. Well, this is a 20 millimeter, but this will be further away and raised higher. And yeah, it'll provide a very smooth cast.
0.31 ounces versus 0.35 ounces. So you're saving a little bit of weight even still, but you're doing one less guide, and each guide you go down is going progressively smaller. Instead of going from a 30 to a 25 to a 20, you're starting at a 20.
Yeah. So then the question comes up, well, why? Why would you have the different guide layouts? And my answer would be because different blanks have different actions. Okay, a very fast action blank where the bottom half of that rod is pretty much hardly going to bend ever.
Don't necessarily need a guide there.
No. I mean, remember what these guides are doing. They're distributing the load across the blank. When they're doing two things. They're casting. Obviously, they're crucial to casting. We know that. But they're also distributing a load across the blank. So you're trying to utilize as much power as that blank has to offer. In my opinion, is you buy a performance blank, you want to get the most out of that blank. So the distribution of guides across that blank is going to allow you to use the power in that blank. Not all blanks have the same action. Not all 9-foot blanks have the same action. So perhaps something that is a little bit slower, I would probably elect to go with K guides on. And from my experience and what the people I built for, it has almost everything to do with the aesthetics. It's
what
how they
look.
like. Yep. When I discovered RV guides, now this is an RV guide. This is an alternative to an LC. It's RV as in reversed. It was designed to be reversed. And if you look at the angle on the face of this one, okay, if you were to point it forward, that angle is going the wrong way. This was designed to be reversed. Why? I think it was just for the aesthetics. I wasn't there. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure it was just for the look of the guide, because it's a funky looking guide, man, and it's cool. It's a high frame guide. Same concept as the LC. We have a smaller diameter insert, so it'll be further away from the real seat. And
but if you were to take, a fairly comparable size LC guide, let's see. This is probably the closest to ring size and height, but it is one ring size smaller.
what is the RV? That's a 20. That's this.
I know, it's this guide, but the profile, the length.
Yeah.
You're saving on that
Yeah.
that length,
Yeah.
which is also saving you on the weight.
Yeah. That's true.
But you can see the LC is
Well,
pretty straight.
and also the LCs only come in stainless. The RVs only come in titanium.
Yes.
And up until recently, they were the most expensive guide available from Fuji. And then they actually hiked their prices on the rest of the titanium guides, which made them about on par. So they didn't reduce the cost on the RV; they just increased the
bumped
cost
the cost
on
of
the
everything
KWs.
else
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
So, but and the cool thing about any of these guides and being rod builders is we get to fuck around. We get to try different things. So like when I started messing with the RV guides, they only offer these in certain sizes. So you have to transition into a different guide frame if you're going to do any kind of traditional layout. So what I did was take two RVs. I did a 20 and a 16. Then I did a high frame KW into standard KWs. I was able to do 7 guide layout on a 9-foot rod. But what was cool is like I didn't know if it was gonna work or not. Like I did some test casting, I really liked it, but guide layouts they're tough, man, because you want it to feel good you want it to cast far. Obviously, you want the blank to load up right. You know, having done it for a while now, I feel like a guide layout's a very personal thing. Like if you attack my guide layout, you're attacking me. Because we put a lot of time and effort into guide layout.
We do. We probably sit here and argue back and forth about if we should move a guide an inch one way or the other, or if we should use a different size guide in place of that guide. And then once we come up with an idea for a guide layout that we both like, we test cast that guide layout to make sure that it casts as well as it possibly can with that reel, that line size on that blank with that guide layout. And if we don't like how it casts, back to the drawing board. We move guides around, we change things up, and we figure out what will cast the best. I will say my personal preference is RVs and LCs.
You like high frames.
I do like the high frames. They cast better, in my opinion. Maybe the KWs cast just as far. I feel like they cast further. We'll find out.
We will. And here's the thing, like I truly don't know, because we cast a lot of heavy lures, and to me that's not the true test of a good guide layout. Lighter stuff is harder to cast.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get more line slap, I believe, with lighter things and heavier things, because something heavy,
there's not as much force to launch the line off the spool.
That's right. So like, you know, casting lighter stuff is a pretty good test for guide layout. That's what we try and do with our lighter rods, especially. We're casting, you know, 3/8 ounce, 1/4 ounce. Like we're
casting the lightest weight we think someone might use on that rod to make sure that it casts the lighter end well as the heavier end.
Yeah. I guess to kind of like cap it off, you know, what guides are best? Shit.
We'll see, I guess, you know, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, I mean, my recommendation for anyone who's unsure about what kind of guides to get on their rod is mainly like, well, call your rod builder and talk to them about it, get their opinions on it, let them know what you're trying to accomplish. If weight is a big factor, then yeah, you think about the titaniums. It's not a big factor, maybe go with something that is a little more moderately priced and just as durable.
Or if weight's a factor, but price is also a factor, go with LCs.
LCs are a great option.
Less guides, they're lighter, they're cheaper because they have alkanite inserts. They're still going to cast really well.
Yeah.
You know, but if you don't have any experience with high frames, find someone that has one. And test cast their rod, you know?
I mean, there's a good chance, too, that your rod builder is going to have a couple rods. If you go talk to him, you can test cast one of his. I mean, I know I do that.
I think we have a dozen of them.
I do that with people all the time. They're not sure. I say, come on over and test cast one of these that has this layout, and if you like it, that's what we'll do. I mean, you know, but point being, like, if you're spending money on a custom rod, get what you want.
Yeah.
You know? And you know, different rod builders do different things. There's certain things I don't want to do on a fishing rod but that has to do with what I want my rods to look like, you know?
It's not even that though, you know, it's also functionality. You don't want to build something where someone is so specific, you know, if they're like, you know, I want a 9-foot rod, but I only want 6K guides on it.
Yeah, no.
You know, like, so you just have to say no at that point because it is still your name and you know it's not going to perform correctly. Yeah,
and unfortunately this whole industry is filled with people with opinions. Like, everyone's got different opinions. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, not to mention one day he's going to sell that rod and then
somebody else is going to be like, man, Taylor builds a real shitty rod. He skipped 2 whole guides on this thing.
He didn't even want to put the right amount of guides on it. Yeah. Fish well. So, all right. Anything else?
That's it. If you have any questions, if you think we don't know what the hell we're talking about, I guess reply in the comments. Like, subscribe. What do they say? What do you need?
Smash a button, right? Or they say smash.
Yeah, I think so. Smash the like.
Smash a button.
or whatever the fuck.
Smash something.
Yeah, I don't, smash your phone. Fuck it.
Yeah.